Hello lovely people, this week I am doing the Boujee Booktuber Tag.
Sophie Vlogs.
This tag was created by Olive over at A Book Olive, and she very kindly tagged me, and then I was also tagged by Charlie at Charles Heathcote, which is like, all of this has culminated so that I know that I need to do this tag. So, I have the questions on my phone, I'm going to dive into it. Question number 1 is, what is your average monthly budget for books? Well, I pay £10 every month to get the Queer Book Box subscription service. I don't really do book subscription services apart from that one because I like the types of books that they pick, and you know, like it spans across different genres and stuff like that, which is very interesting. So that's like my only subscription service thing. And then on top of that, I probably would allow between £20 to £30 because it really depends. Because for example, like in the summer months, I tend to spend more on books because it's like my birthday, and so like people have given me money, which helps. And also like going to bookshops is a social activity that I do, so like that's something that you tend to do more when it's like nicer weather. So yeah, maybe between £20 to £30 I would say a month. I don't think I always spend that every month, but I like factor it in to my budgeting. Question number 2 is, what's the most you've ever spent in a bookstore? I do most of my shopping secondhand, so I don't ever actually, I might come away with like 5 books, but it won't have cost me like the price of them new. So I think probably in a new bookstore is probably when I was buying my university books, and I know that I bought, I did a Margaret Atwood course, and I had to buy like 7 Margaret Atwood books in one go, and that was quite a chunk. I don't remember how much it actually came to, but just imagine like buying 7 paperbacks new, because I don't know why I didn't just get them secondhand. Probably because I was just too enthusiastic. I don't really know. Question number 3. Are you willing to pay full price for a brand new release, or will you wait until you have a coupon or there's a sale? If there's a new release that I really do want, then yes, I have actively done that. For example, I wrote down some new releases this year that I bought because I really, really wanted them. Queer Intentions by Amelia Abrahams, This Is How You Lose the Time War by, I've forgotten both authors' names, but I'll include it in the link below, and Never Anyone But You by Rupert Thompson. Those were all books which were 2019 releases, which I really wanted, and so I bought them new in the shop. I have quite a lot of unread books, so it tends to be that I will only really deliberately go out and buy a new release if it is like one of those books which I was really genuinely excited for. A lot of the time I'm happy to hold off, see if my library gets it, see if I come upon it in a second-hand bookshop, and then if after time has passed I find myself still really wanting to read it, I might ask for it for birthday, I might ask for it for Christmas, or I might go out and get it if it's something that I genuinely really want. So yes, I think I'm happy to wait most of the time, unless it is something specifically like there are particular authors who I really like to make sure I support them financially when they have new releases because I really like their work, that sort of thing. I'm probably more likely to go out and buy a book. This contradicts the 3 books I read out, because those 3 books I've never read anything by those authors before. Most of the time, if I'm buying a new release, it's usually because I want to make sure I am supporting a particular author who I really like. Just because, you know, I know that makes a difference. Question number 4 is, would you rather buy one new book or several less expensive used copies? It kind of really depends on the quality of the book, and that's not an objective like physical thing necessarily, it's like the quality as it relates to me. So like, for example, if there is a book that I really want, I would rather go out and buy that one book than buy like 5 books that I'm like, I don't know if I want to read these, I don't know if they're going to be good, but I bought them type thing. That said, I do most of my shopping secondhand. I do a lot of secondhand bookshops and charity shops and stuff like that. So like, I actually do really like buying secondhand books because I like buying books that have been loved and you have like signs that someone else has read them and enjoyed them and that sort of thing. So it's just really hard to tell, because if it was 5 books that are on my like priority, I really want to read these lists, then absolutely I would take that over one book. But like, I've essentially faffed my way out of answering that with a straight answer, I think. So I'm going to go on to the next question. What do you think is a reasonable price for a new hardback book, a paperback, and ebook? Okay, so hardback, maybe like £12 to £15. It kind of depends on the size of the book as well, because I know that some hardbacks go for like closer to like 20 quid and stuff, which to me feels like a little bit too much money to pay for one book, because like that's most of my monthly budget in one book. But I know it just very, and but I think if it was like a proper chunky book, I would feel better about spending so much money on it because you're getting a lot more for what you are paying. Paperbacks I put down like 8 to 9 quid. I feel like in stuff like Waterstones and stuff, a lot of the time, if I'm buying a new book, it's around like $7.99, $8.99 type price, and I'm comfortable with that. That's okay with me. Ebook, essentially my answer to this was like, I don't really have a handle on ebook prices. I do own a Kindle, it's right next to me here. I mainly use my Kindle for reading books that have entered public domain that you can get for like free on Project Gutenberg and stuff like that, or occasionally if there is a book that sometimes I load up, like before I do really long journeys, I might treat myself to a couple of ebooks and load them on here so that because it's just like easier to physically have a Kindle rather than like 7 books, you know. Question number 6 is a signed book worth more to you? How about a first edition? A signed book is only worth more to me if it's signed to me and I physically have been there for that interaction. Like if it's just a book that has an author's signature on it, it doesn't feel any more special to me really, because like, you know, you've seen those videos where authors, they have like stacks of the books and they have to sign them all in one go, which is like a great thing to do, but also like there's not really a personalized moment there. Like it doesn't really mean anything to me as an individual unless it's like an event that I've been to or like an interaction that I've had, because then that has like a memory associated with it, which then does make it worth like paying extra to go to the event, for example. First editions, generally, like, I'm not really fussed about. I think my main thing with first editions is, like, if it's a new book, I don't really care. If it's an old book, I'd be too worried that I would somehow, like, destroy it while taking it round with me to read it, that I think I'd probably never read it and be too stressed about it, so, like, yeah. Question 7 is, what is your most valuable book, sentimental or actual value? In regards to actual value, I don't know. I don't think any of my books are particularly overly special in that regard. In regards to sentimental, I have an entire shelf that's sentimental books, so I'm going to do like a really quick rundown of like what books we're on about. So I'm going to try and be really quick. First ones fall into this category is my my Little Women collection. So this is Little Women and Good Wives, but this book belonged to my grandmother, which was part of SS Prize, February 1951. So this is another one from the collection, which is Good Wives, which belonged to my mum from when she was 12 years, 4 months old, and she got it in June 1973. And then also following on from that is Little Men, which is Christmas 1947 to my gran from her mum, with love and best wishes. That Little Women collection means a lot to me because it is my gran. I also have these other books are also my grandmother's. So this is Emma by Jane Austen, which is from September 1948 to Jenny from May. I think May was my grand's auntie. And then equally Anne of Green Gables, which I don't know if this one has anything written in the front of it. No, but this was also definitely my mum's. I don't know if this was my granny's before it was my mum's, but those are books which have been passed down. And then adding on to that is this is my Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass collection, which also belonged to my mum. I don't know when this belonged to her, but she's got her address in the front of it. And then also I have my Alice in Wonderland from when I was a kid. My actual Alice in Wonderland has this book cover which I did in a textiles art class, which is a bit shoddy, but the door opens and you have the little like eat me, drink me, the Queen of Hearts thing, the Cheshire Cat smile, and the Mad Hatter's little thing, which I've always quite liked. And then also I have the Through the Looking Glass, and these are like picture book versions from when I was a kid. I also have, but I don't have them with me, they're in the other room, is I have my Winnie the Pooh books from also when I was a kid that are illustrated and stuff. And I've got a couple of other books like Bunty and stuff, which were definitely my mum's. I think Bunty was just my mum's, I don't think Bunty was my granny's. But those books are like my most sentimentally important to me because they've been handed down for like a couple of generations, and like I'm not planning on having children, but I do have a little niece, and maybe if she's into reading I might hand them down to her. That's like an emotional thing which I'm going to have to navigate when she's old enough to actually read, because currently she's just like smashing spoons around at the moment. But yes, those are all the really like sentimental books that I don't know if they'd be worth anything, but they're worth the world to me. Question number 8, will you pay more for a cover or edition you like better? Only if it's a book I don't already own. I know some people like to buy books that they have read, so they have them all in the same like series and stuff. If I physically own them already, I don't really like buying new editions of them because I really like the ones that I'm attached to, like the ones I've actually read. But if it's like a new book, maybe, so like, for example, Jane Austen, I've read enough Jane Austen now to know that I really like Jane Austen. You get some lovely editions of her books. I would probably, for some of the ones that I haven't read, I would probably pay more for a nice edition of those because I would know that there's a very high chance that I'm going to like them and want to keep them, because I give away a lot of books because I have very limited shelf space. So if it's something that I'm not sure if I'm going to like, I probably wouldn't pay more for a nice cover because I would probably just end up giving it away to a charity shop, and then I'd feel like I sort of wasted some money there. Yes. Question number 9. What physical characteristics does a good quality book have? A good weight to it. Like, not too heavy because then it hurts, like it's really difficult to like hold and read properly. But like, I like the feel of a book that you're like, oh yes, I'm holding a tome. That feels really comforting to me. I wrote them down so I'd remember. Oh yeah, not too firm, or a book that's quite easy to just loosen up a little bit, you know, like, so I try and do the little, to avoid breaking the spine too much, I try and like flip the book a little bit just to like loosen the pages, so that helps, because otherwise I read it like I'm holding it and I'm trying not to like crack anything, but equally like you can't really read it because you're like peering in through the crack of a door, it sort of feels like. Paper, oh yeah, paper that is thick enough, because you know you get books where, like a couple of my Jane Eyre, because it's so small, the pages are like so thin, you know, like Bible paper quality, where you can like kind of see through them. I don't really love super thin pages. I quite like to have like a nice thickness to my page so that turning it is easier, and yeah. And then, oh yeah, and then I also put end papers are a lovely bonus, so it is nice if there's like nice little end papers at the start or something. Okay, question number 10. If you won the lottery, what bookish things would you do with the money? I would donate to my local libraries, because my library was really important to me growing up. It was like really fundamental in like me enjoying reading, so I would like to be able to like support my libraries, especially the Bristol libraries, because we went through a dodgy time where we thought they were all going to close recently, so like I'm going to support them. Oh yeah, I would start buying my books exclusively from independent bookshops. I'm lucky enough that there are some really nice independent bookshops in Bristol and Bath, and I would like to shop in them more. It's just like, A, getting there is a faff, and then B, it is more expensive than just going to second-hand bookshops. Oh yeah, this was one. I don't know if this still exists, but if the Scholastic Book Fair still exists, I would really like to like donate money so that like every kid could get one book for free, because my other up here, my Sabriel collection, I got Sabriel at the Scholastic Book Fair, and I loved that series as a kid, and I have such a genuine like visual memory. I can see the moment that I picked it up and bought it, and it meant so much to me. And I work in children's magazines now, and one of the things that is really important, that all of our research has shown is really important, is kids picking what they read for themselves. What happens a lot with magazines is that a kid will sit down on the floor, they'll go through all the magazines, and they'll find the magazine that they want, and then their parent will look at it, and their parent won't be interested in it, and then the parent will be like, oh, why don't you get this one instead? And then because the parent is the one who buys it, they buy it, and then the kid's not interested because it's not the magazine that they wanted. And I imagine that it is a similar thing with books, where like kids get excited about a book, and then their parent is like, I don't think that's suitable for you, or their parent's just not interested in it, and then they don't get to buy it, and then like that takes away some of the magic for them. So I would really love to like donate money so that like every kid could like go to the Scholastic Book Fair and pick one book, and they would just like get it for free, because I think that would be a really great way to like, you know, it's really fun when you get to pick them yourself. Bonus is, give us an image, actual or mental, of your dream home library. My boyfriend and I always talk about how we would really like to have what we call the Hobbit house. Not completely underground like Hobbit houses are, but just like a nice cottagey little thing, which has got lovely local stone, a little kitchen garden, a little library room, and like, you know, lots of wood, lots of stone, lots of like natural stuff, and that is, you know, we're living a little bit more harmoniously with nature and all that stuff. So like my dream library would be in the Hobbit house. It would have lots and lots of shelves because we're very limited on shelf space because I live in quite a small flat. And a really cozy reading chair would be nice. I dream of having space to have a little cozy reading armchair. Also a window seat. Heck yes. Lots of squishy cushions and blankets so you can be really snug and cushy and have like a little beverage and like read your books. That would be nice. So yes, that's the general gist. Just an adorable little Hobbit house with a little Hobbit library would be my dream. Those are all the things. Those are all the tags. Those are all the tags. Those are all the questions. Didn't think of who to tag in advance. I'm going to tag my usual lovelies. I'm going to tag Celia. I'm going to tag Elizabeth from Bookish North. Who else am I going to tag? Well, I've already been tagged by Charlie. Miriam's already done it. Oh, I'm just going to leave it there because I'm panicking. If I tag more people, I would tag you on Twitter or in the comment box down below. I feel like I've babbled, so I'm going to go now. I hope you have a really lovely week. I will see you next time for something different.